Hello, everybody. How are you guys? I hope you guys are good. Okay, so let's hear a little bit from Loolabelle, aka Miss Lindsey. Okay, now here's a poem that she wrote on Poetry Nook. Okay, Call Me Loolabelle by Mama Bear. A name like Loolabelle Johnson cannot be taken too seriously, which I think is why she beckons me. For life is so innately cold, hostile, and eager to feed our anxiety that I see no need in seeking out any more inspiration or fear, anger, or seriousness. I want to read Mary Oliver, Christopher Moore, and somebody else quietly in my warm bath. You can keep your Game of Thrones, War, and Hunger Games. When did we decide to give so much of ourselves to play that kind of game? This is not to say that I am timid and hide from injustice, and this is not to say that I am passive and flee from confrontation. I am the steward, passionately defending the spawning kokanee, yelling at parents, teaching their offspring that it's okay to reach into sacred waters full of sex and death and probe at our dying brethren like a game. For a photo, they are better off, I scream, at Disneyland with the masses of sheep and obesity in training. I am the crazy white lady screeching on the autumnal riverbank. I am the mother who loses hot temper, imploring my children to cease their incessant bickering, whining, and arguing, to clean their mess and carry their load with words too strong and tone too harsh. I am the stern matriarch with unyielding pride for my children. They are better than yours, because I do not suffer anything less than their very best, even as I am at my very worst. I am holy and perfect. This is when Loolabelle Johnson calls to me, reminding me to breathe, laugh, and let go. Speak with peace from love, and thank God I have a better person to be every day. Reflect. Each day I will try, each day I will laugh and breathe and try. And if I am lucky, when I am old and wearing purple as I swing on my front porch with my best old lady friend, we will play bad music on guitars and ukuleles and sing made up lyrics about frogs and men or Joni Mitchell songs. We will not make a serious business of life. We will listen to our grandchildren play with puppies and throw red ripe raspberries at them or shoot at them with water guns and know that life is best when they call you Loolabelle. So there's that. That was written by Lindsey. Um, it doesn't have a date on it, so I do not know when it was written. But let's hear a little bit more from Loolabelle, shall we? All right, Loolabelle Johnson. See, here's a picture of Lindsey. All right, so let's go back to the first one. November 19th, 2019. Boy, oh boy, you saved up for months, have your park hopper tickets in hand, and are ready to have the happiest time at the happiest place on earth. As you take those first steps down Main Street, USA, here are the top 10 questions you should be asking yourself. Where are those people's children? Yeah, as it turns out, children are not prerequisite to a Disneyland adventure. You may notice that a large number of adults are not dragged in by tiny humans, but visit the park willingly. Apparently, you really can have that fairy tale wedding or even a magical honeymoon. Disneyland is for everybody except me. Disneyland is not for me, which leads to the next question. What am I doing here? Disneyland wasn't your first choice, mine neither. The first time we took our daughter here at age 5, we were kicking and screaming. Somewhere in the middle of counting crying children and dropped ice cream cones, we remembered this trip was not for us, it was for our daughter. We met Tinker Bell and spun the teacups, waved at Mickey, and learned to fly with Goofy. The laughter, smiles, and joy that radiated from our daughter was contagious. Chances are, if you're the one buying the tickets, you're here for someone else too. Embrace your adoration for that person and hold tight, especially if you're on your honeymoon. in which case this trip was supposed to be for you, but you somehow got roped into this. Sorry, buddy, you married her. What should I do with all this spare time? Welcome to Disneyland, where your new favorite pastime is standing in line. Want to enter the park? There's a line for that. Get your photo taken with Minnie Mouse? Line. Bathroom? Line. Time to eat? Not so fast. Go find a line, friend. On the bright side, you'll have hours of quality time to spend with the ones you love as you wait for your turn. Recommended activities for children include hanging on parents and asking why it's taking so long. Adults can bet on what child will melt down first or play a game of who's in trouble. If you don't want this to be your most cherished vacation memory, do yourself a favor and make the most of those fast passes. Seriously, go get them right now. If you don't know what they are, start panicking. Your whole trip is ruined. Is this re- Number 4? Is this really the happiest place on earth? No, far from it. Next question. 5. How much money am I willing to spend on designer mouse ears? 10, 20? Try 30. And that plastic Mickey Mouse wand that flashes light and spits bubbles will set you back another 25. If you don't feel like you've already spent enough on admission, lodging, and ice cream, more on that next. By all means, find the line to purchase your shiny new souvenir. If you'd rather save your money for a therapy session you'll need to decompress from this trip, try shopping online before leaving home, where you can find too many Disney items at a fraction of the cost. What is the policy on dropped ice cream cones? Recipe for ice cream meltdown. 3 to 6 parts family members, 2 parts ginormous theme park. Okay, anyway. While the child's reaction always involves tears, parents can decide whether to yell, scream, and shame or laugh it off. I recommend laughing. You don't want to be that jerk having your own adult temper tantrum at Disneyland. Then take delight that a dropped ice cream cone offers an opportunity to stand in line for a second time. Laugh more, this time a little manically. Remember your receipt, and you'll get a new cone on the house. I know because this has happened at least once each of the 3 times we've been to Disneyland. Yes, 3 times. No ice cream. Okay, this isn't a question you'll be asking yourself, but after you stand in line twice for the same cone, you'll have hit your limit. Number 8, why is that child crying? See questions 6 and 7 above. If neither apply, chances are it has something to do with overstimulation, undernourishment, and exhaustion. They say to plan on walking an average of 1 mile per hour spent at the park. That means if a family arrives at 7 a.m. for the magic morning and it's 2 p.m., that child has walked about 7 miles already and has probably consumed a year's worth of sugar in those 7 hours. If you look closely, you'll probably notice the mother crying too. Number 9, who's in trouble? This is one of our favorite games to play in the park. Quick, look around you. See that couple storming away, the mother about 10 feet in front of the father? Who's in trouble, mom or dad? Which one said something to set the other one off? And what was it? Was there a dropped ice cream cone incident, missed opportunity to meet Mickey, forgot to get a fast pass, and now they're all gone for the day? Why are families fighting at the happiest place on earth? I'm going to refer you back to question number 4. Number 10, can we go home yet? Close your eyes right now. Are there imprints of life-size Disney characters and lollipops the size of human head burning into your retina? If so, you're close to being exhumed. Oh, I'm sorry, you're close to being excused. If not, you've still got some hours ahead of you. So charge hard, eat well, and laugh like a maniac. If you're lucky, this will be a once-in-a-lifetime trip, so make the best of it. Just let it be known that the next time you're picking the family vacation destination. Next stop, Craters of the Moon National Park. Okay, next. January 22nd, 2020. What my daughter's optimism has taught me about getting through the tough times. In the autumn of 2010, my husband and I moved from a neighborhood on Lake Tahoe's west shore to assume operations of my family's backcountry ski lodge in Truckee. Our daughter was 5 years old and had just started kindergarten. That November, we had no way of knowing that we would be seeing 20 feet of snow fall that winter, or what kind of life we would be offering our daughter. We had no idea that we would still be here almost a decade later, or of any of the hardships we would face in those years. Broken bones and failed bridges, record breaking snowfalls and seasons of droughts, exploding electrical systems, and the most terrifying of childhood fevers amidst a days long blizzard. Optimistically, we've settled quickly into a lifestyle that my mother in law still describes as Little House on the Prairie 2.0. During the summer months, the lodge is accessible via a dirt 4x4 road, but once snow falls, access is limited to a 4-mile ski or snowshoe from parked cars to the lodge. Winter is our peak season, and we enjoy hosting adventurous guests who are thrilled with the idea of leaving their careers and their cars and the trailhead and venturing 4 miles through snow covered trees and past winding creeks to reach our front doors. It's a lovely weekend adventure. Living this lifestyle day in and day out, though, comes with a unique set of blessings and hardships that we as a family and individually have to reconcile. Simply put, life in the backcountry is hard. But how does this translate to a child? Outings to town are dependent on current weather and trail conditions. When you're a child, this means that there are times you can't get to your hockey practice because it's snowing too much. When hockey practice is the only time during the week that you get to see other children your age, this can be a great disappointment. On occasions when this would happen, Kiely would respond appropriately with sad eyes and a deflated spirit. After sitting with the reality of the moment, she always would be receptive to another evening event, and quickly her good spirit would return. We would spend the night baking treats, playing board games, or reading favorite books, and hope for better weather the next week. Throughout the years, disappointments would surface when we were unable to attend a variety of events, birthday parties, family gatherings, and field trips. Through the tears and disappointment, we would discuss our unique lifestyle and the benefits and drawbacks of what it affords. Each time, Kylie would spurn the idea of moving back to town, where participation in such events would be more accessible. A handful of missed opportunities were a worthy price to pay for the smell of the forest, the proximity to the wildlife, and the adventure of our life, she would argue. In life, we are constantly weighing benefits and disadvantages of various options and oftentimes have to take them both together. It's no surprise that our daughter is intimately familiar with this concept and adept at accepting the disappointments that accompany the benefits and moving forward. Oftentimes, it's not life at home that's so challenging, but time on the trail that affords opportunity for grit to shine through. Many winters ago, before our son was born, we found ourselves away from home after the sun had set and the cold settled in. Kylie would not have been older than 7 years at the time. We could only drive our car to within half a mile of our home and had left a Jeep staged nearby ready to take us the rest of the way. Bundled up, we huddled into the roofless truck, ready for a crisp but short ride. To our dismay, the Jeep did not start. Time and time again, my husband tried the ignition, only to hear the engine sputter, whine, and go silent. There would be no ride home that night. We climbed out of the Jeep, gathered our belongings, and readied our sense of adventure. There are three things that stand out in my memory from that night. I remember a full moon rising over the ridge. I remember the crisp slap of cold air on my cheeks, and I remember my 7-year-old daughter saying, "Well, it's a lovely night for a walk." This was not the last time we have found ourselves unexpectedly walking home. Time and again, we when we find ourselves with a broke down machine and a long walk ahead, Kylie has approached the situation with a smile and a purposeful step. Following her lead, her little brother has learned by her example that plans change. It's how you respond that makes the day a failure or a success. Since Kylie began speaking, it was obvious that she would one day grow into a strong, interesting woman. In the meantime, my friends and I joked. I was in for a whirlwind parenting experience of supporting her whimsy and enthusiasm for all things joyful, while curating her strong will into a character strength. In her toddler years, I would at one moment be involved in an hours long standoff over picking up spilled Cheerios from the floor, doing all I could to mask my frustration. The next, I would fall to hide my laughter when her response to a question would be full of delightful wit and catch me off guard. Upon discovering a container of dry oatmeal poured onto the floor, I asked her what had possessed her to do such a thing. Shrugging shoulders in her best 2-year-old voice, she replied, "In the name of silliness, of course." In the name of silliness. How pure, how joyful, how messy. But life is messy, and the ability to find a silver lining, a smile in the sadness, a positive spin, is not something that can be taught. That kind of optimism is as innate as a bird's song, and those who possess it are a gift to our world. My daughter has this optimism. It is what has helped her find beauty through disappointed eyes and strength to walk home on frigid nights. Even in the darkest parts of life, as long as you're on the right trail, it can be a lovely night for a walk. Okay, let's go on to the next one. March 18th, 2020. I think this is the one we've all read, but let me read it again anyway. Over the last 14 years, I have spent multiple 4 to 6 week stints at home in the woods without venturing into town. On many occasions, I have gone 6 weeks without getting in a car, going out to eat, or seeing anyone who didn't ski 4 miles to get to my house. While I understand my experience draws from a lifestyle choice, the times that I did not go to town were due to weather trail conditions keeping me at home, and were not completely voluntary. If you need it, here's what I've learned from my time spent at home. Life moves slower. One begins to notice the seasons change, the days grow longer, the bird's relationship with the trees out of the window pane. One begins to drift from room to room, morning to evening, and day to day, in an almost dream state. Entirely renewed patterns and relationships with housemates are born. Suddenly, there's time to picnic on the porch, take a walk, and create art. Opportunities for beautiful discussions open up. Silly games are contrived from thin air. Simply joy abounds. Simple joy abounds. But this is not Little House on the Prairie. Sometimes I go crazy having my kids at home with me all the time. Sometimes I lose it and scream at them and make them do chores or jumping jacks or tell each other 3 nice things about the other person. Sometimes I hide from them in my bedroom, but they always find me. And when they do, I smile and I open my arms and we snuggle and I take a deep breath. Take a breath now. Feels good. Yeah. Sometimes it's a struggle to balance working from home with children, homeschooling, meal planning, and cleaning. Allow yourself to fail from time to time. It's okay. You can't do it all. But at the end of the day, you'll find what's most important was addressed. Laughing helps too. By the way, laughing at adversity is the same strategy we're using with a teenage daughter these days. Laugh when you can, cry when you need to, then laugh again. Laugh hearty, laugh hearty laughs even when you don't mean it. You know what laughing does? It makes you breathe. Laughter is gold. And build your team up. Support each other. Offer up patience and compassion. Appreciate one another. Tell your partner you appreciate him every day. Tell her you're glad she's there with you. Tell him you love him. It doesn't take long to do, and it's good for both of you. It is just as valuable to remember why we appreciate someone as it is to be appreciated. Stress puts us all on edge. When things are tense, laugh a little. Laugh at yourself. Laugh at the situation. You know what else laughter does? It diffuses tense situations. Most importantly, remember that it's infinitely easier to apologize than it is to maintain a battle. You're going to be spending all of your time together. So apologize already. Tony and I have spent the last 9.5 years living and working together. We're good at it. We're good at laughing and appreciating each other. We're good at building bridges in blizzards and troubleshooting exploding electrical systems. You know what we're best at? Apologizing. I know uncertainty leads to fear and frustration, but I hope that in short time you will come to make peace with being home and find a certain joy and gratitude in small blessings and beauty that may have gone unnoticed until now. I hope the light of the morning sun on the windowsill catches your eye, that the bird's song sweeps and tickles your curiosity, and that you and your family share hearty laughs and the biggest, strongest, and most comforting hugs imaginable. And in the darkest times, when fear or frustration overwhelm you, remember, no moments last. These days, too, are fleeting and will one day be but a memory, I promise. May the days you spend at home in the upcoming weeks yield memories of a simpler life amidst a backdrop of chaos and uncertainty in the outside world. With love from the woods. Written by Loolabelle Johnson. Okay. The one time I went on strike, April 3rd, 2020. Hold on one second, guys. Confessions of a Homeschool Mom. I am a home educator, card carrying by circumstance and choice. I willfully signed up for this race 10 years ago and haven't stopped running. Step after step, I guided my daughter, K through 8, sometimes high on endorphins, sometimes sprinting up mountain peaks, and sometimes stumbling over pebbles. This year, I'm back at the kindergarten starting line with my son. It's an endurance race, I know, and like those athletes who compete in 100-mile ultra marathons, I love the process and the challenge, the commitment and the achievement of reaching the highest summits. In my mind, the time and energy I put into my child's education is a win, always. Suffice it to say, I am a proponent of homeschooling. I will shout from the mountaintops and tell you all the ways you can be a success with your kids at home. Except there's the thing. It was my choice to do this. I've trained, I have all the stuff, I have 9 years of experience and research under my belt, and I like it. I would never in a million years sign up for an actual 100-mile foot race. Never. It sounds brutal, like torture. And if I found myself suddenly forced into running the Western States Ultra, dropped down the trail, and told to get going, I'm not even sure I'd know which direction to go. I might be compelled to lay down and stress nap. I assume that's how parents are feeling right now, suddenly charged with the task of home education. With that in mind, it's time to share one of my epic fails at homeschooling. Not because I expect mass failure, but because I think some might be tripping over pebbles, even though I fell hard over and over. We still made it to the finish line, alive and well. Success is not only possible, it's probable. Made it to the finish line. Hmm. I'm not sure what put me over the edge. It may have been her willful opposition to complete the assignment again. It could have been my exhaustion from running an in-home business, having a baby, and trying to keep the wheels from falling off. My self-doubt, or a combination of all of the above. What I do know is I snapped. I quit. I yelled, shaking and throwing the book across the table. Monday morning. Midwinter, defeated. Nowhere to go but crazy. She looked up at me with a lethal combination of shock and disdain. Ready for the battle? You can't quit. You're my mom. Her sound reasoning was a blow that shook me back to reality. Shit, I thought. She's right. Quitting was not an option. I took a breath, tried my best to look at my situation from an objective perspective, and resisted the urge to run away. Okay, can't quit. You're right. So I'm going on strike. I continued to explain to my sixth grade daughter the idea of labor laws and workers' rights. Hold on. I accused her of workplace harassment and creating an unhealthy work environment for me. I told her that in her constant opposition to math problems and essay outlines, she was emotionally battering me. Until my work environment improved, I was going on strike. It's what people do. Wow. Let me read this for you again, okay? I accused her, Kiely, of workplace harassment and creating an unhealthy work environment for me. I told her that in her constant opposition to math problems and essay outlines, she was emotionally battering me. Until my work environment improved, I was going on strike. This was a new threat, and as she began sifting through the concept, she asked me what she was supposed to do. I explained that in this scenario, she was the boss, and as the boss, it was her responsibility to find someone else to fill the position or to fill it herself. Almost immediately, she went to find my husband, Papa. She approached him. Will you be my teacher? The response was lightning quick and struck as hard, no. Presumably, it didn't take long for his thoughts to flash through all the battles that had taken place on our kitchen table over the years. Battles hard fought and seldom won. Back in the schoolroom, I reminded her that she had access to a computer and the internet. where she could find contact information to all of the schools in our area. She could reach out to each school and inquire about any independent study program they offered. It should be noted that we live in a remote location that prohibits daily attendance at a traditional school, so that was not an option. Having the single experience of being educated at home, she was reticent to enlist in the foreign world of traditional schooling and decided to dismiss that option. This decision left one other possibility: she would have to teach herself. They say students spend the first few years of school learning to read and the rest of their education reading to learn. By the time that a child reaches middle school, most homeschool curriculums assume the student is self directed, thus, lessons are addressed to them. Parents still play an integral role in facilitating structured class time, grading assignments, and reinforcing concepts when needed. But the parent is there for more for support and guidance than leading each lesson. In the sixth grade, my daughter had a full library of lesson plans, assignments, and rubrics at her disposal. Once she decided to be her own teacher, I had calmed down a bit and we sat down to discuss what would come next. She would have 2 weeks, I told her, to try her hand at teaching herself. I pulled out the curriculum I had planned to use for each subject and outlined what I had anticipated accomplishing over that course of time. I would be available to assist her in sourcing materials, but would not be fulfilling any responsibilities of a teacher. We would revisit our long term education plan at the end of the 2 weeks. The threat was real. The first week was a total train wreck. A constant point of contention had always been the schedule I imposed. She sophomorically attempted a new schedule in which she worked on only one subject per day. Inevitably, her interest and concentration in any single subject was not enough to complete any assignment. There was a flood of tears the following Sunday night when she realized she was behind with her work and halfway through her allotted time. As I sat with her that night, wiping her tears, she begged me to begin teaching her again. Like an indignant countess, I refused. I did, however, offer to help her brainstorm some strategies to improve her schedule. The second week brought me unexpected shame. She dug in and struggled under her workload. I felt guilty for putting so much on her and second guessed my strike. What kind of mother does something like that? As the mornings turned to afternoons and Mondays swept into Wednesday, I noticed something happen though. She was doing it. She had adopted a schedule of mini breaks scattered throughout the day. She tackled difficult subjects in shorter stints in the morning and worked on easier subjects after lunch. By the time Friday night came around, she had completed all of her work and had done so with pride and integrity. Her work was all done. My strike was over. Despite tripping over a pebble of frustration and falling into a fortnight deep ditch, I managed to pick myself up. After my strike, my daughter had a new appreciation for my role in her education, and for a fleeting moment, she didn't even argue about math lessons or writing outlines. More importantly, I had gained a new appreciation for my daughter. When the trail got steep and I lost my footing, she was able to keep going. In the years since, we've struggled, fought, laughed, and learned. We've shared weighty discussions about civics and government. We attended a climate change leadership training, and she conducted a year-long research project on the benefits of sustainable food production. She's currently a successful sophomore in high school. She is self-directed and holds herself accountable for her actions. Most importantly, she's compassionate and has integrity. There's no math proof that teaches that, no essay outline to follow. Forget academics. Her character is my win. So now it's time to start again with my 6-year-old son. There are great accomplishments in our future and fantastic views from mountain peaks. Plenty of loose pebbles lay ahead of us too. From time to time, we'll stumble, trip, and fall. That's not always a bad thing. Our view from the ground can sometimes offer an unexpected perspective, one that we may have otherwise overlooked. I have learned to look closely when I fall and find lessons scattered in the scree. And every time I feel my strength dwindle like an ultra marathon runner, I stop to have a snack and take some deep breaths. Maybe that's the secret to success. Snack often and breathe deeply. We've got this. Written by Loolabelle. Okay. It gave us a little bit of insight to Kiely back then, you know, what it was like for her, the constant struggle, The fighting with her mom all the time, the perseverance she had to do it on her own. April 11th, 2020. I came across this patch of pine mat yesterday, and it got me thinking. When the snow starts falling, this plant doesn't know how long it will be covered. It bends and accepts the weight of the snowpack. It clings tight to what surrounds it and slows down to conserve resources. This shrub is powerless in determining how long it will be locked under the snowpack and quietly awaits for the snow to build up, then slowly melt away. When its leaves finally do poke through the snow and feel the sun, it is strong because it did not waste its energy fighting things it could not control, but focused its energy on protecting itself from the cold darkness. How much energy are you spending fighting on things that you cannot control today? How much energy are you focusing on protecting yourself and the ones you love? April 12th, 2020. On not being a dick. People are on edge, but you don't have to be mean. Last week, a group of guests whose reservation at my lodge has been postponed got together and sent me some nasty emails, questioned my integrity and moral character, like it was their job, all day long. Though I had not done anything wrong, I was rattled. I took time to breathe before I responded to them. I chose words I hoped would not add wind to their fire or get me sued. People have threatened on more than one occasion. Allow me to look them in the eye when I finally see them. It's easy to hide behind an email, but eventually you're going to meet face to face, and you want to be able to stand tall behind all of your words. Before responding, I sought out compassion for them. I recognized that oftentimes stress and fear will cause us to lash out. I silently wondered if some of them had lost their jobs in the last couple of weeks or had suddenly found themselves ill prepared to face this much uncertainty at once. I knew two things for certain. I had little idea what struggles they were currently facing, and their struggles there were not mine to bear, so I didn't have to carry the weight of their nasty words. This is a difficult one for me, and I'm still not very good at it, but practicing always. When I did respond, I recognized that they felt I had let them down and apologized for having unintentionally done so. I offered them a night on the house. I wished them peace and comfort in the upcoming weeks. And then crickets, no response for days. But when their spokesperson did finally respond, she confided that many people in the group had just lost their jobs and thanked me for their kind words. Then this morning, I received another email, this time apologizing for their behavior. As it turns out, multiple emails I had sent them were misdirected to spam folders, and they never even saw them. The reality of losing their jobs, coupled with the thought that I had not communicated our response to California's shelter in place order, had caused them to lash out at me. The moral of my story: just be nice right now, no matter what. And if someone is being mean to you, they probably aren't really mad at you, but don't know how or where else to direct their fear, frustration, and anxiety. In which case, it's okay to smile and walk away. Now, that's everything that she has written on here, all under Loolabelle. It did give us a little bit on Kiely. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments below. I love you guys. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep asking those hard questions. Keep spreading that light. I'll see you guys next time.